Welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk. I'm Ginette Byro, and with me is Lisa Richmond. We are the mediums minus Elyse of Avalon Spirit, and today we're going to talk about the very humanness of spiritual living, if you could say that. Like the tools that we use to ground our energies, reset our energies, bring about peace, try to move through the perceived chaos of life, and just kind of dive into those practices so that you guys can maybe pull from some of the things that we do that really resonate with you to move through these times right now. So, welcome everyone.
Yes, welcome. I was talking, we always chit chat beforehand, just about how things are going for us. And I was saying how hard it's been for me lately. I'm in the middle of a move. So me and my husband and our 4 kids, 2 dogs and cat, are moving from the interior, uh, the Okanagan, I guess, of British Columbia, Canada. We're packing up and we're moving to a frozen province, Saskatchewan. We're moving to Saskatoon. It's where I'm from. It's like home for me, but it's a big move and it's a big move for all of us. And we are in the middle of like totally packing our stuff up. We move Wednesday and we don't have a house yet. So we can't find a house. Like it hasn't showed up yet. And so that's kind of how this came on is like where I feel the most comfortable is tuning into spirit, right? Doing readings, getting answer journaling, that kind of stuff. But then when I have to go into my like humanness of packing and trying to keep my family balanced when we don't know what we're doing, right? My kids don't have a school to go into. And I'm going to homeschool them. And it's like this sense of uneasiness or whatever. I feel like between you and I, Jeanette, and who we've talked to, we said we've talked to so many people, and it just seems to be that that's the theme. Not that everyone's moving, but there's like this sense of unease and like having to be human when things are a bit tricky. And it's like, why is this, and this happening? Like, I don't know what to do. And it feels like there's this whirly energy
Mm-hmm.
where we have to learn to ground. So, we're just going to talk today a little bit about tools that we can use in our human selves to be able to connect to spirit, to help to ground you, to kind of bring your energy into light, and that everybody can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of my calls actually this last week were people who were really connecting with spirit, but the question was, like, am I doing it right? Like, I feel like I get these intuitive twinges, but like, am I doing it right? Like, do I have to sit in meditation for an hour a day? Do I have to become a vegan? And I know we've talked about this a bit before, but it's like, no, no, no. It looks completely different for everybody. So I think it would be cool just to talk about like little different things that we do that
Mm-hmm.
can connect you to spirit and help ground your energy when things are a bit chaotic.
Yeah. And I think it's actually really interesting we're talking about this today because today is Earth Day,
It's Earth
right?
Day. Happy Earth Day.
And yeah, and one of the cards that you pulled this morning was actually Earthed, which
Earth.
is like connect to Earth. And the reason why I'm going down this tangent is if we look at the ways in which we can really connect to being grounded and centered, it is using elements,
Mm,
right?
totally.
Connecting to elements, which are earth, right? Like of earth. So water, earth, stones, soil kind of thing, fire and air, right? And it's finding the ways to connect to different elements to bring this energy that moves through you into the earth, into the cosmos, back through you into the earth, where you are connected in. You're not super flighty up here because I know even for me, as much as I love being up there, and I've got a lot of air in my chart too, so I easily go right, and it's harder for me to get pulled back down. But I feel way better overall when I'm connected back down, which takes active, conscious choice for me to do. Otherwise, I'm just there all the time.
Yeah.
So I think one great thing to start with is using the elements. So, like the elements of Earth. Since it's Earth Day, let's start with Earth. What is your favorite thing for grounding practices to do with Earth?
I would say when it's nice enough, I like to be barefoot on the grass in my yard. Like I like to actually connect to the earth. And it's interesting, like if I'll do traveling or I'll go to a new place, instantly even if it's cold, I have to go and feel the earth. Like I have to connect to it because each part of the land, I need to connect my energy and then receive the energy of wherever I am to be able to be balanced where I'm at. Otherwise, I feel like spinny and unsure. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's definitely like barefoot in on the ground or like in trees, that smell of the tree, the earthing feeling of like the actual physical soil.
Mhm.
That's probably the quickest and easiest one for me. Also connecting to my kids. That really, that's not earth. That's different. That's human.
Oh, yeah. But I see what you can mean though, because that's a very like 3D earthy thing is like playing with them.
Yeah, but even like heart to heart,
Mm.
like if I like, and I can smell like the heart to heart, like the actual smell and humanness of like holding them, that brings me right into the moment. That brings me into like my body and the lightest version of that for sure for
Mhm.
me. What about you? What's your favorite? Water?
Um, well, if we're talking Earth first, quickly is I mean, water is my favorite. Like water is my go-to, but Earth, I find stones are a big one for me. So like having stones either on my body if I'm meditating or holding one. Oftentimes, if I'm doing a reading, I grab a stone. It's just in my palm,
Same
right?
with me. I'm
Yeah,
always holding a stone.
yeah,
I have this is my channeling stone,
yeah.
and then when I really have to go in, I put my Lemurian to my forehead. Like I always arrange, like I have stones all over the place right here, right now, because
Yeah, same with me. They're all over my desk.
yeah.
I find stones really helpful. Um, I also find, I mean, of course, same thing as you, running bare feet in the grass for me specifically. Like if I can just take off running across a field bare feet, that pulls me right in.
Mhm.
But also, I find having a weighted blanket or something weighted on me actually
Ah,
brings me back to earth. I feel like it's weighting me down to earth, even if I'm in my room, which is second story. If I have a weighted blanket, I feel earthed. I
mm.
find that really helpful too, like the heaviness. Yeah.
My daughter, the 14-year-old, she is very connected to the weighted blanket thing too. It just calms her nervous system right down.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And that, again, like there's no wrong way to use your stones. And oftentimes like you can read in the little card when you're looking at stones like what they represent, but more than anything it's like what is connecting you to the stone. That's the most important.
Mhm.
And I wanted to talk today too about this isn't so much earth stuff, but like so if you okay, one thing at a time. Using your stones, if you go and you go to, you know, the store and you're looking at all the stones, feel them. Like look what's calling you and you can like hold it and you can connect with it before you read the card because that is like a general idea of what it's used for, but the energy that is connecting it specifically to you is unique to you, so trust that first and foremost,
Mhm.
right? Trusting your
Absolutely.
intuition with that is like that's what's going to get you there. And so you can, you know, pick out the stones that you want to hold on to or that like resonate with you, and then you can think like sometimes I bring out, you know, certain stones when I'm connecting in a certain energy, right? When I'm connecting and praying to Mary and I'm bringing in some like feminine energy, I use different stones than trying to balance my masculine energy or before even reading a male. Right? Like I feel like the different stones will come through based upon the energy. So I
Mhm.
lay them all out. And then when I'm doing the reading, I'm like, okay, well, that made sense because this, and this based upon how the stones were laid out. So yeah, trust your gut with that one. And
I
also
think,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, real quick too with the stones is also sometimes you can get wood too. And I
Hmm.
find wood is extra calming for me. So if I have like lots of anxiety, I'm feeling lots of energy, this Wenchwood mala, which we actually kind
Mm.
of happened upon by mistake, and when I first felt it, I remember being like, "Oh, it's a dud. Like there's no energy in here." But then when I wore it, within like 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh my god, I
Really?
misjudged this." Yeah, this one when I wear it, it like it's like that presence of something that's like everything's gonna be just fine.
Like the rooting of a tree. Like
Yes,
that wood,
yes.
yeah. So
So
when you go and
sometimes feel
literally
it.
hold a tree, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, we're good. Yeah. So that makes sense.
I definitely recommend like rosewood. This one's wenchwood. This is my absolute favorite. But like wood malas, whether it be bracelet, um, uh, like a necklace, or even just pieces of wood in your area, even holding wood, is another really grounding force.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So one thing that I do too, before every call, but also like when I'm just having a day or just wanting to like clear my energy and feel like I'm brought back, is I use Palo Santo. I use this for everything, but it's such a super easy, usable tool for people. Like using and smudging with sage and doing all that, that's really nice too. But this is like really helpful because it's like it's not an ordeal. You just light it, and then when it smokes, I just like I'll go around my and then I'll open up to source. Like I have my own and I like bring through like this, almost like just clearing through my energy with my Palo Santo stick.
yeah.
So, and it smells amazing. I love it. I feel like this is one of my most powerful tools to quickly clear energy, clear my energy, and ground.
And I think for people too, like however it is you, so if it's Palo Santo or smudge or incense, is like you were doing, like it doesn't matter the pattern you do. Like sometimes I'll do a big circle one way and then a big circle back the other way and like whirlies around. Like you could dance with it. You
Yeah,
can, it doesn't matter the pattern as long as whatever you're doing feels right for you. So if a repeat
totally.
pattern feels right or you hold it by each chakra feels right, do it. But
Yeah,
if being free and moving and expressive with it, do that. Like, and
yeah,
let it flow and change. Because there's no, again, with any of these things, there's no one right way, truly.
exactly.
At least,
And sometimes smoke doesn't resonate with people.
yeah.
And that's why, or at certain times. So I'll say, okay, well, what about things like you can get a tiny little spray bottle and fill it up with water and then add some of your like most favorite essential oils. So
Mm-hmm.
I have like a little thing of rose that I got from doTERRA that's like ridiculous. And it's just like I put a couple drops in there, and that to me takes me so far. We call it love spray in my family. So with the kids, I'll spray that around them before they go to bed so they're surrounded by love, but I'll use it also to clear energy in the house. So I don't always use smoke or smudge.
Yeah.
Sometimes I spray essential oils because it has that kind of uplifting aroma. When I connect to the floor, like to the rose, or it might be to something, it might be a woody smell from the essential oil, but it carries a different frequency
Mm-hmm.
than the smoke,
Yeah.
but it it works
Absolutely.
because I connect with it. So there again, there's no wrong way of doing something. It's just about how you connect with it.
Yeah. Speaking of that spray too, Kevin Semeniuk, our Avalon modern day shaman, he created it's called the light, and it's a liquid smudge exactly for that reason. Like some people don't like the smoke, and so he had his guides and his healing council members tell him which blends of oils to put in it. And so we actually have it on avalonspirit.com.
Really? I
And
wonder which ones
it's
it is.
fabulous. It's called the
I
light.
love
So,
essential oils. I love essential oils. I just resonate so deeply with them
mhm,
and the smell, and like if I put it right here depending on like what I need, it's a
mhm.
really great tool.
It is.
'Cause that's also earth-based, right? They're plants,
Yeah.
and it's such a beautiful way to connect. Different modalities, right?
Yeah. So let's move to water. Yes.
Okay.
Best one. So water. Um, water for me is immensely sacred. And it's funny because I don't have a ton of water in my chart, but I love water, but it has to be warm. But anyways, um, for me, I have it has to be really warm.
Unless
Um,
unless you're in Whistler.
yeah, unless I'm in Whistler, which was random and weird.
Yeah.
But so I find for me, I like have a sacred bath every single night. It is odd if I don't have a bath at night because for me, what that's doing is it's like taking all my energy and putting it in one spot and then like merging with the frequency and then having it drain out. And what I usually do is when I drain the water, and I'll put stones and crystals in my bath and I'll put different oils and smells and light a candle. So I try to represent as
You
many
have
elements
all
as
the
I can.
elements together, which is
Really.
so powerful.
Hmm. But then what I find I do that helps me ground is I pull the plug and I sit in it until the water is out. And the feeling of your body getting heavier as the water leaves is like such powerful grounding. And I find when I'm so high up in the energies that I can't ground with the regular things, having a bath and then pulling the plug like that and waiting helps me ground big time.
That's amazing. That's such a great tool. I love I love baths too. Baths have been like my tool to connect again. For me, I think I pull through at like my most, oh, I guess it's easier. That's where I go when I'm like, I know there's a channel to come through,
Yeah.
and I'll do it and I'll just sit in the tub and have that for sure. That is such a healing practice for me too.
Mhm.
I also use it as a opportunity to clear my energy field or my auras, so I use like the skin scrubbing kind of technique to be able to like allow this like purification of my vibration and using the water to transmute it. Not that then I'm sitting in negative energy in the it's like a crystallizing formation for me. It's just like that's how it transmutes.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so I feel like it's like not even for like actually cleaning, but it is for like cleansing my energy field.
Mhm. Water too, though, is also a really good conductor energy. So that's why for many people they can get more insights, visions, and such when they're in water because it has this conducting frequency thing to it. So that's another thing. And whether it be the bath or the shower can be equally
Mm,
as
yeah,
spiritual. Absolutely.
totally.
And if you think even that water is something that runs through all things, and water holds this energetic memory of all things. Water has been the ocean, lakes, rivers, glaciers, clouds, rain, hail, and then it has also moved through soil and plants and animals and you and me, and
Yep,
it is continually picking up these resonances of so much. And so,
yeah,
water, if we really dive into it too, can also offer up so much
wisdom.
the wisdom and all of that. So, there's so much more to water than we
Yeah.
realize.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Water's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
how about
do you connect to wind?
so it's funny you say that. I used to, when I was younger, I used to love the wind, but now I actually have a really hard time with wind. I find within a second, wind overwhelms me. And maybe that's because I have so much air in my chart, but I find wind overwhelms me and I either get sick right away, um, I can lose my voice right away, like too much wind, and I have to cover up.
Yeah.
Like to stand out
Like
on the
controlling
ferry,
that energy. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I can't do it. I
Yeah.
used to love it when I was younger, but I can't do it anymore. It's too much, and I think it just amplifies too much
The
anger.
only wind that I really like is that when it's naturally created because I'm, like, riding on my bike or something like that, and it's, like, blowing my hair back, that kind of wind, but when I'm standing still and it's same with me, I feel like it's whirling energy
Mm,
that feels chaotic, and so when you're I don't know, like, when you're really tuned in, it can feel chaotic,
yeah,
like a storm almost, right? And it hurts my ears.
yeah,
I feel like it creates this ringing in my ears and it's really hard. So like when I'm in wind, I have to like block out all sound and anything and just try to like
yeah,
it's hard for me. And even like riding in a convertible or something like that.
yeah,
I mean, put it up. I don't like it. Yeah, like I don't love it.
yeah. Me
The
too.
most I can do is if I'm, like, running or
Yeah,
riding a
like
bike.
a
That
bike.
is it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I have found though with wind though is spirit now will use wind to bring me a message. And so it's really interesting. There's times where, I'm in a certain spot or picking my daughter up at dance, and suddenly this massive gust of wind will come and just like whoosh, I swear my hair is like flying. But it usually happens now whenever there's something big that's about to change.
Really?
Yeah, so I've noticed now wind when it really comes in um, is a messenger. And so for that piece, I'm really grateful for it. I'm like, ooh, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. But I can't stay in that environment long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I get
thank you
that.
about the message. I'm gonna go over
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Now
Where's
stop
going?
it. I
Yeah,
heard you.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what this is really reminding me of is Frozen 2,
yeah. Right?
honestly. Like, I gotta say, I connect so much to the messages. Spirit talks to me all the time through Disney movies. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to be super anti-Disney because I thought it was like such bad messages, like
Mm-hmm.
like Beauty and the Beast, falling in love with your captor. Like, yeah, no, that's not good, right?
Yeah.
But I've always been so drawn to Disney movies, like so incredibly, and messages come through for me all the time through
Mm-hmm.
Disney movies. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you haven't seen Frozen 2,
It's a good one.
it's such a good movie, even if you don't have kids and you don't like cartoons. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's like because it's all about the elements.
Yeah.
And it's such a spiritual movie. Like such a spiritual movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um that would be a good one. I don't know. They just keep showing me like all the stuff we're talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like Elsa.
Channel your inner Elsa, everyone.
All the time. Like I have that. And in like readings, so this is about like being individual, right? Because it always comes through differently for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I'm to explain something to somebody, they'll give me something from like a Disney movie because then it has a certain energy behind it. So like in Frozen 1, when Elsa let It Go, the famous Let It Go song. And then all of a sudden at the end, she like drops her braid down and she like walks to the front of the door and she's like, whatever. I'm like, that is an energy, right? That's full of energy right there. And it's like,
Yeah.
channel that part of yourself. Like when you
Yeah.
can see the energy switch with Elsa.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it with cartoon, like, which is incredible. Um, yeah, I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like everybody gets their messages differently. It comes through very differently, but it's more about the energy behind something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what about fire for you? How do you use the fire element?
Okay, so I have fire in my chart lots, right? So I have Aries, Sagittarius, and Aquarius. So those are my like big ones. So fire for me is like I gotta be careful because I can't have too much heat, right? Because then it's too fiery. But the fire clearing, like you and I have talked about before, I'll do fire clearing, and that's like really effective for me. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like I almost need some kind of fire or smoke in my energy field all the time. So I'm constantly burning incense. I use my Palo Santo stick, like it's like probably I would say 3 or 4 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And like I gotta love my fireplace. I have a wood burning at home, and like there's nothing more peaceful for me than having the fire going. We have
Mm-hmm.
a fire pit in the backyard, having a fire in the afternoon, sitting there and just like watching it.
Yeah.
I see a ton of pictures that come through with flame. Um, it's like I use it as a ceremony. I use it to clear. I use it to release. The smoke is very significant for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lighting candles all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's huge. I have to be careful with the candles that it's like a natural candle because the perfumes can make give me a headache, but the fire itself is super, super, super important for me. So I would say other than having a bath every single day as well, but I like lighting a candle right beside so that I have both elements there. But
Mm-hmm.
the fire element, I would say I use the very most
Mm-hmm.
for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really good rundown on fire. Totally. It's literally what I would do too, but I tend to go to water more, although I really crave heat. Heat from fire too. But I mean, yeah, like I'll do the same. If I want to set a really strong intention to something, I will bring through as many elements as I can, right? Set up the elements. But if I really want to like hone in on a focus point, I will light a candle and
Yeah.
focus my gaze on that candle with what my intention is because I find that is a moving element that is
Yes.
alive right now and it's almost like it's responding to the intent I'm putting in. Yeah, and I find when I do that, I feel like it's kind of the same as when I talk to spirit in my mind versus when I speak out loud. So sometimes when
Yeah.
I'm talking to my guides, I talk in my head. But if I really need to say something, I will talk out loud to them
Yeah.
because to me, it feels more validated because I'm hearing it. So I
Hmm.
find candles or a flame of sorts or a fire outside, same thing. If I really need to take it up a level, I will add that flame element versus just Palo Santo or incense.
Yes.
And I find it really helpful. It just seems like more. And then there's a power of when you blow out the candle or you put out the fire, it's like you've completed it and
Oh,
now it's in the ethers to go
yes.
merge with the universe.
Big time.
Yeah. So I find that powerful.
Yeah, and bringing change. There's so much change that fire brings through, right? And rebirth, death and rebirth, and that whole connecting to that is huge. Okay, so they keep saying now I know this isn't about um like birth chart and that kind of like fire, air, water, but they keep bringing up metal
Mm,
right now. Now that when used for like in if you're let's say what word am I looking for when you decorate a house or like you try to create that equal energy in a room, you get people to come and do what's that? What am I looking for?
feng shui?
Feng shui.
Yeah.
They say you have to have something representing fire, water, earth, and metal. And
Mm,
I find metal one of the hardest elements to integrate into my practices. Now, sometimes there'll be like a copper, like people say, like drinking or having copper
yeah.
pot or cup can have a significance. So I have this like really nice copper kind of like tiny little cauldron, it looks like, but it's copper, and I use that when I'm using sage. That's where I'll put my sage out or I'll hold it underneath so that if any of the, you know, soot and stuff falls down, it goes into my copper mug. But
Mhm,
that's it. Like otherwise I don't have a ton of metal. Do you
mhm.
connect with metal?
Um, Copper I have, but it comes in phases.
Hmm.
So I have this copper bracelet, for example, that Spirit had me get, and I found it and all of that. And there are times where I will wear it a lot, and then I won't wear it for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I'll wear it again for a couple weeks, and then I won't wear it again. And so
It's
it's this,
intense, hey? Like when
yeah,
you're wearing metal, it's an intense thing. Like I remember people, the whole magnet thing, wearing these magnets is like supposed to be really good for different reasons. I had to take them off. They give me such severe migraines because it's too
mm,
intense.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I have more questions, but actually, I'm meeting with someone next week on who does feng shui in connection to your astrological chart. I'm going to ask her about metal and see
Do.
because I'd be curious.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just really sensitive to it. Like I can't drink coffee from a metal to go mug. Like if there's
Me
metal
neither.
inside, I
Me
don't like
neither.
the metal straws. I
No.
can't. Like it's like, and then that's my indication if I've eaten something that isn't good for me, I'll get a metal taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I'll know something's not right or I'm not well if I get metal taste in my mouth, right?
Yeah.
That's my indicator. I'm sure a lot of people have that. But so for me to integrate metal, I'm like, even like, I hate to say it, but like my wedding ring, I had to stop wearing. It was fine when we got engaged. It was fine, but I swell up. So like my body reacts to metal
Mhm.
so much that integrating it into my practices is quite tough.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. That's
Yeah.
a good
And
point.
if anybody watching has experience with this and like using all the elements or how to integrate metal to someone who's very metal sensitive, like give us some info because
Yeah,
I'm
put it in the
curious.
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. Well, I think that's a really neat journey into the elements and how we can use them in our daily lives for,
Yes.
you know, being spiritual, but also being very human, right? Like the human self, help the human self, the whole mind, body, spirit by connecting to the elements because Earth literally is this beautiful, abundant place of healing. I mean, we talk about how human life and earthly life is really hard, but it's also set up, Earth is set up to bring all the healing elements to
Totally.
us.
And to connect, because Earth has their own like chakra system.
Yeah.
And so, like, to connect our chakras to the earth chakras and using these elements to like be as one, truthfully.
Yeah.
I know that's very kumbaya, but it's very true. And I think the more that we can allow ourselves or become curious about how we can integrate this for ourselves can help grounding in chaotic times or even creating little practices 5 minutes in the morning time connecting to elements, and so that you can ground yourself to have that clear mind and know that you are connected to the earth. She's got you. You know what I mean? Like to feel
Absolutely.
that grounding because it's like she's got me. She know that there's um it's a total like unending source of love and abundance is right under our feet.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Um,
Happy Earth Day.
Day, yeah. All right, well, thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you guys have a beautiful Earth Day, rest of your weekend. Bring in some of the elements in your life and see how you feel. Notice which ones really resonate for you. You may be someone that just wants the wind like
Yeah,
crazy. And if that's the case, embrace it. It's there
totally.
harmonizing with you for a reason. So honor that. And yeah, if you guys have more questions or themes you would like us to take on in Spirit Coffee Talk, leave it in the comments below and
Totally.
we'll definitely do that. And yeah, if you want to expand your consciousness or connect with any one of us, check out avalonspirit.com as well as the Avalon Spirit Facebook group. And we will see you guys next week.